Hey, how you doing? I'm back. I really appreciate you all for tuning in last week and providing feedback and just commentary on my how I got started in political consulting. So we talked about last week, or I talked about how I got started in consulting. But this week, I want to talk about my very first campaign and three things I wish I knew for my first campaign. So, my first campaign, I was a student at FAMU and I was an intern at the Florida Democratic Party. I got offered a paid internship in, I guess that was the spring of 2004 for the Kerry race. And with that internship, I was granted the opportunity to do student organizing both for FAMU students, but also for the Florida College Democrats. I worked very closely with College Democrat presidents from all of the major states that were officially chartered with the Florida College Democrats. So back then, that was such a big deal. You know, you got to work with students from across the state, some that I'm now still in touch with to this day. And we really got to utilize that as an opportunity to get out the vote for students. The one thing I will say that I wish I had known back then was how all consuming a campaign is. Even being a student organizer, I remember in particular, I was in class and my teacher said, "You're still a student here. Don't forget that." And I looked at her like, "I am trying to save America, okay?" I'm trying to save America from itself. We're in this war that makes no sense. And you're talking to me about being a student here. And she was right, though. I needed to be checked. Like, I was in and out of class. I was barely paying attention. I was just too engaged and involved in um, the political space. Mind you, still doing this, I had no idea that I would be doing this for a living. At the time, I just felt like it was my duty. I really wanted to be involved. And I just knew the importance of voter education and civic engagement. The second thing I will say to that end is self care. I did not take care of myself. I was not sleeping. I was barely eating. I remember I was just like, just doing so much because I cared so deeply. And I remember in particular, like my friends from school were like, "Girl, where you at? Like, hello, are you around?" I was so known on campus. My nickname was Miss Carrie because I was so big on campaigning, and it was just amazing. So now I know how important it is to take care of yourself on a race because even now we find ourselves still just getting completely consumed in what it is to be on a race. And then lastly, what I will say is I really wish I knew how much these relationships would take me to a new place and how important it is for relationship building on a race. Um, Politics is big but small. There are people that I work with back then that I could work with today. And we didn't have Facebook was just coming to be at the time and email people were using a lot, but just the connectivity, like I just didn't know. And look, I'm an extrovert at heart. Y'all know that. And it was really exciting to be able to like meet people from all over the state, but there's still some people that I wish I had stayed in touch with after that, right? Right? Like where are you now and what are you doing to are you still in politics? Did you leave? Are you political adjacent? Like there was just so much that I learned from that time. So I will say that doing that part-time slash full-time definitely is very different from my experience full-time on Obama in '08. But I will say in '04, the presidential level type of races are just they're everything. And once you've done a presidential, you can do anything. And the beauty of working on a smaller race is that you have direct impact on decisions that are made. The challenges of smaller races is fundraising. So that's what I would say as far as my first campaign, what I really learned and how that motivated me. I would say now, after doing so many races, the three things I would say, and I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. Now working on, I don't even know how many dozens of races since then, is first, I would go back to self care. Like, you got to take care of yourself. I'm terrible at eating when I'm busy. Like, I just kind of like, okay, whatever, I'll just eat later. That's a nuisance. Mm-mm. Can't do that at this age. You gotta make sure you eat, you gotta make sure you hydrate, and even if you can't do full exercise, going for a walk, take a call on a walk. I do that a lot now. where if I don't have to be in front of my desk sharing screen, then I will try. I won't say definitely, but I do try to go walking and take calls on a walk. The second thing I would say is because I'm at a different level on the campaign now, it's really taking into account how much the candidate feels nervous and goes through their own transition and watching their transition, right? It's one thing when you think you know until you've really done it. And then when you've really done it, it changes a lot. Um, so I always try to make sure that my candidate is humanized because in many of these races, it's just go, 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 get on the phone, go speak at this thing, perform, perform, perform. And it's never like, did you sleep last night? Are you okay? Did you have any personal time? Did you do any self-care? Or it's just simply, how are you doing? And so when you're engaging with candidates, whether you are directly engaging at the beginning of their day or you're meeting them at an event, just remember that this is hard on a person. Running for office is a big, brave thing. And you got to make sure they're okay. And even if they've done it several times, if you're in a contested race, you're flipping a seat, um, it's important to remember that. And especially if they're a person of color, if they're a woman, the external pressures, the biases, the bigotry, all of that plays into it. So it's really making sure you actually do check in and say, like, are you good? And then the last thing I listed is how critical it is to have a good team. Teamwork makes the dream work when it comes to a campaign. And I say that because I have seen great campaigns that have lost, mainly because there were external factors like, this Trump effect or whatever, but had really solid teams. And I have found that campaigns are much more chaotic when they don't have any real leadership and they're not working together. It's very, very, very easy, especially the bigger the race you get on, the easier it is to operate in silos, and the teams aren't talking to each other, which how do you work on this campaign where you're not talking to each other? It happens. So if you are looking to be in leadership on a campaign, particularly a campaign manager or an advisor or a general consultant, it's ensuring that your team works together. And if you're in charge of a department, comms, political, digital, fundraising, building the camaraderie among your team, because it's going to be so important that your team works together because that's going to actually make the campaign better. So those would be the three things that I would say now, counter to my very first race. There's so much more we could talk about in the political campaigning space. And I plan to talk about that for a while, but I just thought that today it would be helpful to just share with you if you are currently on a race, if you're going to get on a race. We have a bunch of primary elections this month in June and then another round in August. Um, just taking those things into consideration. So I look forward to seeing you all back. Let me know what you think and what else you wish you had learned in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can keep this conversation going. Thank you all so much again for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye.